I think everybody knows this very old phrase that goes something like this: behind every successful man, there is a strong woman. And this saying is so appropriate when we think of Joan Wories. Her strength has been even more important these last few years, as she has continued to stand solidly behind John. So it is my privilege now to turn things over to Joan.
Thank you, Dr. Cherney, for that lovely introduction. You've heard John's story. Now you'll hear mine. On the day of John's stroke, he had fallen because his right side had gone limp.
This is the time of year
he had difficulty talking and then trouble understanding. I really did not know what was happening. My initial thought was to drive him to the hospital. In a split second, my better judgment said, call 911. While John was being examined at the hospital, I was alone as I waited for a doctor or a nurse to call me with some information. While I waited, I prayed, and my faith assured me that God was with me. Eventually, I was told John had a stroke. It was the beginning of the pandemic, so I was told to go home, but I would be allowed to return in the morning. Being told that John had suffered a stroke was frightening. Learning that the recovery would be long was challenging. The neurologist taking care of John called for a family meeting. This is where our family would learn that about 50% of John's brain had been damaged. The doctor had a really good analogy that would be helpful in explaining to our family and friends John's condition. The doctor said that John's brain was like a baseball game. You have a right fielder, a center fielder, and a left fielder. John's center fielder has left the game. Now the right fielder and the left fielder can continue the game. However, there are going to be a lot of missed balls. Over time, the right and left fielders will learn to cover the center fielder's position. But it will take time, and of course, there will still be missed balls, but fewer and fewer. Again, my faith helped me confront fears, doubts, and concerns. Our children rallied around me and their father. Our friends offered prayers and support. Aphasia was a new word to my vocabulary. I didn't realize that this word would affect John, me, and our entire family. Oh. While John's completed inpatient and outpatient therapies, I tried to process what had happened and think about the future. John and I also had to adjust to making the decisions about things John had typically managed. This was very stressful and at times resulted in tears. I also had to interface with the executives and chairman of the board of John's company. Thankfully, John and I had talked a lot about business, and I had a good relationship with the executives. They were very supportive and understanding. This was a first for them as well. When it was time for John to return home to our condo, it was scary for me. I wasn't sure I was ready for it. It was exhausting and nothing felt normal. I was learning to adjust to a new normal. Since that time, our lives have changed. John and I moved from Chicago to Colorado. Our move, which had been in the planning stages for 6 years, was now a reality. We now live within 6 miles of our children and 11 grandchildren. John has retired. John's retirement was already in the process when he had the stroke. Now he is retired after 51 years at Amstead Rail. As I finalized this speech, I thought about the other virtual events sponsored by the Center for Aphasia Research and Treatment in celebration of National Aphasia Awareness Month. Discovering Ourselves Through Story, featuring Dr. Katie Strong, June 8th, and Supporting Conversation and Improving Communication, What Family Members and Friends Need to Know, featuring Miss Eliza Conlon and Dr. Edie Babbitt, June 15. These sessions gave me inspiration. Writing our stories has been very good for both John and I. We see where we have been, the good, the bad, and the frustrations. We see the improvements we have made. We see what the future might hold. I would definitely recommend the exercise of writing your story. Every stroke is different. As communication partners, we need to work on our listening skills for our loved ones and ourselves. 5 months after John's stroke, one of his colleagues contacted me to talk with the wife of one of his employees who had suffered a stroke. It was definitely a challenge since I was new to the game, but I listened and offered what I could. I am sure each of us would have appreciated the opportunity to talk with others, someone with a similar experience to come alongside us on this stroke journey. John and I, along with our family, just celebrated our 2nd stroke anniversary. This is what we call that day of John's stroke that marks his, oh, now I'm getting twisted in my words. Each time we have done this, we have celebrated with tears and tears of joy. Our journeys are family affairs, since a stroke or aphasia affects the entire family. Celebrations like the stroke anniversary are good reminders of the milestones that have happened over the year. Another recommendation of mine. Conversations with family members, friends, and others are important. I learned about conversation ramps in the supported conversation virtual session. Conversation ramps are things that everyone can do to make conversation easier. I realized we were using some ramps and they definitely make a difference. One conversation ramp John and I use is in planning ahead for times when we will have conversations outside the home We prepare for them with note cards, listing of names of people we will be with, and things associated with the people. Oh, what a difference the preparation makes. John is usually the one reminding me we need to do this. Another conversation ramp we have is with our pastor. To help John understand the Sunday sermon and our Sunday school lessons, the pastor sends his notes to us on Saturday so that John can review them ahead of time, and John has the written notes as a reference. The fast conversation is then more understandable. An additional ramp. Family members and friends can assist the person with aphasia to mark a special date for a family member or friend. Our wedding anniversary was 3 months after John's stroke. He couldn't make a call to the restaurant to make dinner reservations. John got creative. He contacted our daughter to make reservations and order flowers. Not only did it surprise me, but it gave John confidence, and he could see improvements in his life. Now that I've learned about conversation ramps, I'm more aware and reminded that I need to be more attuned to John's needs in conversation. Easier said than done, but I will keep trying. Aphasia is a learning curve for both the individual with aphasia and their loved ones. John and I have had many successes in our journey with aphasia. However, there have also been conflicts, frustration, tears, and disappointments. I just finished reading the book, Let the World See You by Sam Acho, a former NFL player. The book isn't written about strokes or aphasia, but he talks about transition. Many transitions in life are unexpected. The time for me to be reading this book, and particularly this section, has me rethinking the journey we are on. Transitions take time and can be hard. Stroke survivors, spouses, and family members are all in transition to our new normal. There will be mourning, doubts, testing, and fear. As Sam states, we need to learn the art of pivot. I continue to pivot. And like John, I find hope and strength in our faith, family, and friends. Thank you.